At first glance, the sunfish looks like a fish that was half eaten by something larger. And somehow, impossibly, survived. Is it even real? It looks like someone took a perfectly normal fish, cut it clean in half, and threw the front part back into the ocean. No back half, no tail, just this. And when you look closer at why its body is shaped this way, you start to wonder if it was not born like this, but because something ate it. A sea lion has been circling for 4 minutes. Below the surface, it has already made its assessment. The sunfish is 4 feet away, moving at 2 miles per hour. It has not changed course. It has not accelerated. It does not appear to have noticed. The sea lion attacks. It takes a piece from the rear flank, a clean wound, significant.
This is the sunfish. As the largest and heaviest bony fish in the world, they can weigh more than a pickup truck, a whopping 2.5 tons.
Then it stops, circles once more, takes another bite, smaller this time, and leaves. The sunfish continues swimming. Same speed, same direction, unbothered. Fishermen who pull sunfish up in their nets find them like this regularly, chunks missing, edges of old wounds already closing, the fish still moving, still feeding, still wearing the same expression of mild confusion it was born with and will die with. The sea lion did not leave because it lost. It left because the flesh of a sunfish is mostly cartilage, water, and gelatinous tissue, a mouthful of wet sponge, not worth finishing. No bones to speak of, and a brain the size of a walnut, in a body the size of a car. A walnut. But here's the thing that genuinely stopped me when I started reading about this animal: how big it actually is, and how fast. The largest sunfish ever recorded weighed 6,050 pounds, heavier than a large SUV, taller than it was long.
Ocean sunfish weighing hundreds of pounds, and it was spotted in Barnegat Bay.
And when a sunfish decides to move, it can match a salmon. It can keep pace with some of the strongest swimmers in the ocean. It simply almost never decides to. So here is where we are. No tail, no bones worth speaking of. Flesh so unappetizing that predators take a bite and leave disappointed. 40 species of parasites living inside it, some of which have their own smaller parasites. A diet of jellyfish, which are 95% water, a walnut brain, a top speed a jogger could beat. And it is not extinct, not even close. Sunfish are found in every temperate and tropical ocean on Earth. They have been here for 50 million years. By the measure of how long a species survives and how far it spreads, the sunfish is one of the most successful large fish in the history of this planet.
But after wandering out to sea, it was able to grow to staggering proportions.
So how does something that looks this broken survive this well? I thought the answer would be something small, a minor trick, one hidden advantage that balanced out all the obvious failures. What I found instead rewrote everything I thought I understood about what a successful animal actually looks like. And it starts with a sensor attached to a wild sunfish off the California coast in 2017.
This big fish story began on the North Carolina coast at Topsail Island. That's where a man came upon this beached ocean sunfish
That came back with 72 hours of data marine biologists were not prepared for. We will get there. But first, you need to understand what this body actually is. The sunfish has no scales. In their place is a layer of dense, rubbery tissue, collagen and elastin interlocked, that can be 15 centimeters thick in a large adult. Rough, often slick with mucus. Researchers do not classify it as skin. They classify it as an exoskeleton, rigid enough to give the body structural support, tough enough that most predators, after one bite, decide against a second. And it does something else, something that should not be possible for a bony fish. It is incompressible, it is positively buoyant, and combined with the negative buoyancy of the skeleton and muscle, it averages to almost exactly the density of seawater. Most bony fish carry a swim bladder, a gas-filled organ that keeps them neutrally buoyant at one specific depth range. Go too deep and it cannot compensate. Ascend too fast and it expands, sometimes rupturing. Deep diving for any bony fish with a swim bladder is essentially off the table. The sunfish has no swim bladder. Its incompressible skin balances its density to the density of seawater at any depth, not a range of depths, any depth. It is the only large bony fish on Earth that can descend 1,000 meters and return to the surface freely without consequence. That answers one question, but it opens a much bigger one. If it can go anywhere in the ocean, why does it keep coming back to the surface? The sunfish is cold-blooded. 1,000 meters of 4-degree water pulls its body temperature toward dangerous levels. That enormous flat body, lying on the surface and maximizing surface area, absorbs heat from the sun with unusual efficiency. The bigger the sunfish, the more heat it stores. The more heat it stores, the longer and deeper its next dive can be. But the surface does something else too, and this is where the parasites finally make sense. When the sunfish lies flat at the surface, the posture that looks exactly like dying, it presents its flanks to the open air. Seabirds land on the upper half and pick parasites from the skin. Smaller fish clean the half below the waterline. Two entirely different sets of animals, performing maintenance simultaneously every single day. The sunbathing is not helplessness. It is a cleaning station, a fuel stop, and a thermal recharge all running at once. And the missing tail, the absent muscles, the rigid body that looks like something unfinished. A rigid body produces less drag. The two enormous vertical fins, the ones that make the sunfish look so absurd from the side, are wings, lift-based propulsion, the same physics used by manta rays, sea turtles, and penguins, arrived at independently in an animal that shares almost no evolutionary history with any of them. The sunfish is the only aquatic vertebrate on Earth that flies on vertical wings. Every feature that reads as a flaw is structural. Every apparent weakness is part of a system. Nothing about this body is accidental. And in 2017, a 72-hour sensor recording finally showed what that system was built to do. Just before dawn, somewhere in the Pacific. The surface is still dark, that deep, thin blue the ocean turns in the last minutes before the sun finds the horizon. The wind has not started. The water barely moves, and beneath it, one of the largest migrations on Earth is ending in total silence. All through the night, billions of tiny animals had been rising. Zooplankton, jellyfish, siphonophores, long, ghostly colonial creatures drifting in chains, each link a different specialized organism doing one job for the whole. Small squid, krill, an uncountable mass of soft, drifting life, rising under cover of darkness toward warm surface water, feeding where predators that hunt by sight cannot find them. But now, the light is coming, and with the light come the hunters. So the column descends. Schools of fish peel away from the surface and sink. Jellyfish pulse gently downward. Siphonophores drift back into colder, darker water. In the space of an hour, hundreds of meters of ocean that were alive with movement are emptying. Every instinct in every animal pointing the same direction, down, away from light, away from danger, except one. Something is rising. It has been in the deep since the previous morning, following its prey downward as yesterday's sun rose, dropping past 500 meters, past 800, into the midnight zone where the water is 4 degrees above freezing and there is no light at all. Down there, those enormous eyes, built to gather every available photon, read the faint bioluminescent glow of siphonophores in total darkness, eating, moving, eating again. This is what the 2017 sensor data showed, and what nobody expected. The sunfish was not drifting. It was running a precise, repeated hunting operation, targeting the migration that every other large predator abandons at depth. Harvesting uncontested for hours in a zone where almost nothing else its size can operate. The 20 hours in the deep, the gap nobody was watching, the depth no camera was filming, belonged entirely to the sunfish. No competition, no interference. Now it ascends 1,000 meters, those 2 vertical wings sweeping in long, unhurried strokes, through the cold, through the dark, through the layers of ocean that separate the midnight zone from the surface. It breaks through into open air and sunlight, and lies flat. To anyone watching from a boat, it looks like something has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. It is warming, it is being cleaned, it is recovering, and when the water has given back what the deep took from it, it will fold those enormous fins and go back down. This is the daily routine, not aimless drifting, not helpless floating, a precise repeated cycle, deep hunting in cold, dark water, surface recovery in warm sunlight, deep hunting again, timed around the greatest migration on Earth, exploiting the movement of prey that other predators never follow into the cold. It did not stumble into a gap in the ecosystem. It built itself specifically to fill one. The sunfish begins its life as an egg smaller than a grain of sand. The female releases them into open water. Not dozens, not thousands, hundreds of millions. A 1.5 meter female was once estimated to carry 300 million eggs. A larger specimen, examined more carefully, held between 875 million and 1 billion in various stages of development inside her at the same time. No other vertebrate on Earth produces more. Most of those eggs will be eaten within minutes of release. Many will never be fertilized. The larvae that hatch are 1/4 of a centimeter long, tiny spiked creatures more like microscopic sea urchins than fish. And they are eaten by the million before they reach the size of a fingernail. The sunfish does not protect them, does not guard them, does not return. It makes so many that the mathematics work out anyway. The larvae that survive begin eating immediately, because if they don't, they die within moments. Those that make it drift with the current, growing. Within weeks, they look like fish. Within months, they have taken the adult shape. And then they grow in a way that has no parallel in nature. From that 1/4 centimeter larva to a 3-meter adult, the sunfish increases its body mass by 60 million times. One sunfish at the Monterey Bay Aquarium gained nearly a kilogram every single day for 15 months. An animal that begins smaller than a grain of rice becomes heavier than a car, fueled almost entirely on a diet that other animals consider too worthless to chase. The animal that cannot fight back, cannot flee, and cannot hide lives for approximately 100 years. It appeared in the fossil record 50 million years ago, fully formed, no clear transitional species leading up to it, no gradual record of the tail being lost or the swim bladder disappearing. In geological terms, it simply arrived, complete, strange, already exactly what it is, and has remained essentially unchanged since. What existed before this? What evolutionary pressure produced a body this specific, this strange, this complete? The fossil record has a gap where the origin of the sunfish should be. We know what it became. We do not fully know how. We have tracked their dives, mapped their range, counted their eggs, cataloged their parasites. We have measured the thickness of their skin and the size of their brain and the precise geometry of the fins that make them fly. We understand now that the animal everyone called a passive drifter was running one of the most efficient deep water hunting operations in the ocean, hiding in plain sight, looking helpless, while quietly dominating a niche the size of an entire ocean. What we have never seen, not once, in any study, in any ocean, in any footage ever recorded, is a sunfish mating. We know it happens. We have the eggs. We have the offspring. A female carries 1 billion of them in various stages of development somewhere inside her. The males exist, the species reproduces. But the moment itself, where it happens when it happens, how two animals that spend their entire lives drifting alone through an ocean the size of the world find each other, we have never witnessed it. Not once. In 50 million years of existence, that moment remains entirely theirs. We know it is not dumb, not passive, not half-finished, not a mistake. We know it solved the problem of surviving in the open ocean by discarding everything we assumed was necessary and building something stranger and more resilient in its place. We just don't know what that something originally was, or what right now, in water too deep and too dark to reach, the sunfish is still becoming.